Just normal.
There we go. That's good.
Okay, there's no one else in the waiting room, and I'll add anyone who is. So you can go ahead now, Brett.
Awesome. Yeah. So this was going to be a pretty informal session, but it's mainly just to run through the materials there and just see if there's any questions and probably basically see if you're happy for work to commence on Monday. So I just wanted to just go through what was here, and feel free to just pipe in with anything that you need to know. Just confirming, we are meeting on Monday. It's in Melbourne, and it's a very nice venue. I've been there before. It's quite a nice place to be. So we're talking about the AU core track. So if possible, if you're planning to bring software or have servers or client systems that you are particularly interested in connecting, request we try and start collecting that stuff on the Confluence site. So I'll just make sure everyone's got the link in case they don't have the link. Accounts are needed to add stuff to the site, so if you haven't signed up already, it's a good idea to sign up. Pretty much when there's a sign up link on the top right, and there's a sign up button from there. If you've not signed up already, we currently have an event server that's running, the Smile CDR instance. We have all of our profiles loaded, so we've got our AU core profiles and AU based profiles. We've done a snapshot specifically for the event, which is getting us up to the current versions of everything we've discussed so far. So on this page, there's links to those here. So these are essentially the official versions for the event. But I think they're not dissimilar to previous versions. If you kind of have been working with those, they're pretty similar in nature, but it's worth having a look at those if you're looking to update. So in the mix, we have this, we have a Smile CDR instance, which has everything loaded. So that's something we've set up a whole set of test cases, particularly showing putting that through its paces. So I'll go through a bit of that later, but that's something that's available there to play with and connect to, so you can sort of see the server interactions, and if you have instances you'd like to test, that's something available there to play with. It does have some authentication on it, some basic authentication, and we'll probably follow up on the day about some of that. At the moment, there is information on how to connect to it now already, but we'll manage that on the day, I think, as well. If people certainly Smile CDR's Smile Digital Health has been supporting us with that instance, so they're happily. We might be able to let's see if we can get access to that for a bit further on past the Connectathon as well. Ilya's kindly supplied an instance as well. So Ilya, you've got an 8-box set up, yeah?
Yeah, so it is 8-box with AU core profile, not the latest version, but today I will update it. I just want to ask, did you have a chance to publish the last release on Simplifier, or it's better to build it from GitHub?
Oh, good question. We put it in the feed, but I don't know if it's made it. So I have to check that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how fast the feed is, and for the AU stuff, we've not always had the immediate turnaround.
We actually did we've actually did it yesterday, but it may well be up now, but I haven't checked this morning, which I should have.
I'll have a look now if it's in the package registry.
Yeah, I know Barty was trying to do something with it this morning, but she couldn't get the latest version.
I will check, because I'll just make sure our feeds are right as well. It may well be available soon. Yeah, I know AU base we did on Wednesday, I think, and we had worked on stuff yesterday, but I believe the feeds got updated, but I'm not sure. That's all. Hopefully, it's either going to come through or will come. Or I'll check it.
So the
throughout
AU
anyway.
base one is, I'll just
Yeah.
double check AU core.
Yeah, it took about 12 hours last time for it to come through. But
No,
yeah,
AU
it wasn't.
core. Oh yeah, no, it is, isn't it? Oh, hang on. No, it's not.
Not
You
yet.
don't have the latest
yeah.
one.
Oh, I'll just make sure everything's right for that.
So AU Core 0.2.2 version is not available, but 2.1 is there.
Yeah. So
Correct.
we only
So you can only
yeah.
get the npm package and what you need to load from the, I guess, the direct HL7 hosted link. It's not in the npm registry or simplifier yet, but we'll track that down.
Yeah, I'll track that down. So hopefully we can get it up. In yeah, I'll go and check and make sure the feeds were updated. But hopefully it'll either be through soon. It's pretty
Okay,
much
great.
automatic, I think. So yeah, we'll track that down. Thanks for noting that. I hadn't thought to check it. Yep. So that's good. So we've got Ilya's server as well. If anybody
We'll have a
else wants
couple from Telstra Health to put up there as well. Yep.
Awesome. That's great. So yeah, I guess Marvin, you can just bang them straight in if you want to, or just send them through and we'll add them up. Cool. And there's a few client side sort of activities as well. If you want to point something at your server. So Ilya's supplied Jupyter Notebook, showing calling things. And also we've got a test page, which is, just really something to go through the motions of validating and sort of creating something. This is particularly for the system challenged people that just have browsers that want to do something. So you can happily paste in your instances and do a AU core validation against these things, and set up with a sample here to go and validate. So it'll go and call out to the small
Brett, can I
CDR
ask a
instance. Yeah.
Quick
Yeah.
question, Brett. Does it allow all the IE core, just the certain profiles?
No, all of AU cores loaded.
All of the IE core, basically. Okay.
Yeah,
right, okay.
we're kind of we've put a bit of a circle around things of interest at the moment.
Oh yes, that's true.
Particularly
Yeah,
okay. to say we're really looking at patient,
okay.
the condition resource, and allergy intolerance, just to put a bit of a scope around it. But everything's available there, so if you want to go further or try and investigate things as well, everything's loaded from the specs. So this was kind of just a little tool for people that wanted to, if they had some data but didn't want to write a client, you can happily just use your browser and play with it. You can see the outcomes and from the system and do
you can
that.
create that patient in the server as well.
Yeah, exactly. So so if you're kind of at the point of being able to sort of get some fire data together, but not being able to have an API to sort of do anything with it, you could do a cut and paste exercise, make your instance available on the server. Other people will be able to query it and things like that. So that was kind of just something for those that are kind of more on the playing side. We also have a set of Postman collections. So if you're a Postman user, we've got essentially a set of supporting Postman sort of activities. So it's mainly around the scope of the stuff we're kind of talking about for this Connectathon. So validations and creations of patient and condition and allergy, and then also essentially a set of the searches that are the sort of the current scope of what is in AU Core in terms of the different search parameters. So there's certainly like that's all set up there. It is all set up to work against the example data for that's published as well. And what we've I'd say if you're a Postman user, you probably just jump in here and have a bit of a play around in terms of being able to do things. We also have there's some environment for settings as well. So there's basically environments for connecting to the Smile CDR test server, to Beta's AidBox service, and also as part of the mix, we do have the an HL7 Australia test server, which is just Onto, so it can only do validations. It can't store things or do it can't store patients and so forth like that. So, but it can validate instances. So that's basically all the validation calls will do things like validate the FHIR, validate the AU core content and things like that. So these are all options to sort of play with if you just want to have a play. And yeah, obviously if you have your own server destinations, I think Marvin will be able to set up some. It's basically just setting the server destination for these things, and any allow people to add authorization if they need to. But yeah, so that would then hook into the Postman collection as an environment, and you'd be able to run the Postman scripts against things. So these are all here ready to download already on this page. So yeah, if you're keen to play with that, they're available now to go and get. Yeah, let me know if there's any errors. I was finding bugs in it this morning, so if there's any other things there that don't look right to you, let me know, and we'll try and clean that up. So as far as sort of activities, we've split the activities into sort of validate and create scenarios and read and search scenarios. So sort of the validate and create is really set for people that want to test their instances and basically confirm that they're conforming to AU core. And
so I'll just pop in there. So we'll have IG
Yep.
authors there and other people from the technical design group.
Cool.
So it's also for people who have data, who are wondering, how on earth do I like let's have that discussion about how to represent or how to support their data so that it does meet the AU core requirements, and where are we overly prescriptive in a way that doesn't suit your data, and where are we not supporting something that is common. So that's also what we're hoping to look at in that create and validate.
Yeah, so this is really very like these pages are pretty much the nuts and bolts of how to make a call and check against the definitions. But we're really after people to actually feedback into whether those definitions make sense, in the sense that, is it validating what you think it should validate? Just to test, really makes sense for what we need to do. Like Danielle said,
Bring your data along, and we'll work with you on how do we put that in the shape of a FHIR resource. Yeah,
and it's particularly picking up things like going, I live in a world where this doesn't make sense, and there's something really important in my space that it doesn't seem to be being addressed. A kind of really useful feedback things. We're very much GP system heavy in our discussions so far. So like if you have other sort of uses, that's really interesting to come and bring those things as well. So pretty much this is a page that's covering the how-to kind of information. It's basically just a reflection of what's in the Postman collections, and what the browser app does as well for validate and create. So just as a bit as background, but it's definitely like worth going through if you want to sort of go through a bit of a more step-by-step what to see and what to do. It sort of spells out a bit here, and of course feel free to comment on the page, or if there's something that doesn't make sense or anything like that, and we'll definitely we'll do live updates on the day if there's problems, or anything that's worth adding to the material. So yeah, I think that we'll just collaborate around this as well in terms of getting some activity happening. So there's a set there for validating, creating the 3 resource profiles of interest. There's links out to all the tools and things to do. Validation, there's a few maybe useful pages added in. There's the app, which is just like a browser-based validator. We do have just a how to do validation with a file server, so a standard file server sort of validation via the API. And we also have a page on which is how to download and run the local validator, which lets you validate files, file content directly. So being able to essentially run a command line validator to do the similar sort of things. So if you're really interested in just getting some data validated to be able to say it's right or wrong, there's a few different ways there to approach it. So this this might be useful in different scenarios depending on how you're doing your work. So we've just sort of linked that there as a bunch of useful things to know.
Sorry, Brett. It seems that on the Confluence page, the version of the package is 0.2.1, but it should be updated to 0.2.2.
I'll fix it. Thank you.
No worries.
Yep, we hadn't published yet. So I'll update that. Thanks for that, Ilya. So that's for the validate sort of cases. And then we've essentially got our read and search scenarios. So this is related to all of the sort of search scope that's been worked on in the IG currently. So and this scope of the sort of search capability is part of what the TDG has to discuss and decide what's in and what's out, what's must support, and what's what should be supported, and what shall be supported, what should be supported, what may be supported in terms of the basic scope. And we're kind of referring back to things like US Core as well in terms of what is typical in terms of the requirements around each of these. So what we've got is essentially a reflection of the different searches that are currently listed in the IG, and so it's a good chance to go and say, oh, have I implemented all of these things?
We've got a chat, and I think it's from Andy on looking at providing some FirePath examples.
Oh,
is that from you, Andy?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, and Andy, I will inform you that I did ping Brian Postlethwaite about doing a session on FirePath, and he was very much up for that. So I'm going to try and get that. Yeah, I'll get that in scheduled soon, I think. Obviously, FirePath, for those that don't know, is essentially what would you call it? It's a constraint language, but it's an expression language to be able to write expressions against fire, and it's used a lot in IGs for constraint definition, to be able to say what the rules are on a fire profile.
It's also really useful for extracting content out of fire instances. So if you go on, you don't have to manually kind of look through the instance. You can use FirePath to cleverly extract just the bit you need. So it's a good kind of habit to get into rather than doing it manually all the time.
Yep. Yeah, it's one of those things. There's many uses, and there's an expanding set of uses too, because it starts to turn into it's basically a way to select data out of things and start to feed it into different uses
And we've got
decision
so
support and reporting and stuff.
there's
Yeah.
pathling and looking at this and the firepath stuff, which is really interesting. Unfortunately, John Grimes, who's looking after pathling and really supporting a lot of drive around analytics and data queries around firepath and getting data out of fire. And he won't be at this Connectathon, but I'll have a chat with him and see if we can bring some of that to the next Connectathon.
Yeah,
Well, we do have Ilya here, and he's implemented his own Firepath library, so he can certainly help anyone when it comes to Firepath, as I use him all the time.
Yes, I can add some Firepath examples in the IPython notebooks. So,
awesome. Yeah, I think that's good. It's between Ilya, Brian, and a few others, John, they're all. Like, I know John's very much a user of Firepath as part of the sort of bulk data analytics space, and Brian's very much been doing. He's got Firepath Lab, which is like his plaything to help with Firepath expression building and a whole bunch of useful Firepath things. So
maybe we could target like
we'll
a breakout session or something about
actually,
that.
Let's do that. Let's see if there's
I don't think we can do that this Connectathon, but we've got one coming up in
We've
March, and we should be able to organise that.
Yeah, I think so. And it kind of feeds in. Maybe there's a few things I think there's a lot of people interested in bulk data as well, in terms of that kind of business as well. But I think we'll just go as we go. I think so. We'll have to get the communities together anyway. So really, there's essentially a set of things here to do. So there's a few things to exercise, but I think as well, obviously, people idea would be to get people talking to each other, maybe try to look at exchange and pulling and pushing data out of different systems, and being able to sort of exchange stuff, in a AU core shaped way. So I think it's just a good opportunity to meet everyone in person, which is always fun. And I can say certainly when I was doing commercial stuff, it's a good way to commercially meet a few people that you might be doing business with in the near future, hopefully. So it's actually a really good opportunity to see what systems can do and what's available as well. So I think primarily that's the main gist of it. Obviously, if there's any specific questions, please do ping me. Commenting on the pages is good. I'll be trying to sort of get things ready and happy over the weekend as well, and ready for Monday. So as much as possible, we'll try and make it as smooth as for everyone to get started, and we can really get playing quickly. So it might be good if how many people have we got now on our call?
Just a question, Brett. There's 36 people on the call, by the way.
Cool.
If we have a server that does require authentication, is it best just to add that auth stuff next week? And what's the
I think we'll certainly. I think this is for the Smile CDR instance, I've put credentials on the site, and I feel bad about it because I think it's just I think we'll probably turn off those ones after the event. But I think it's probably better to exchange credentials if you need them, especially for public endpoints. We'll work out a way on the day to exchange things either via private channels or something, just to keep it happy.
There's also, if you're happy for those to be exposed specifically for the time the Connectathon is available, so we've got the track page there, and anyone who has a HL7 account can edit that page, add in your link, put your readmes, which will link off. So have those prepared for how people can get the credentials and those things that are necessary. And you can either post those on the Connectathon page, or please have them ready for our in-session, and we'll make sure that we can put those up and make them available in the room if that's a better fit for what you want to do.
Yeah, what you want to do. Yeah, it's more just how. Yeah, if you're kind of thinking of doing it temporarily for the event, that's fine. Or issuing it out to individuals, that's fine too. But obviously that comes with a bit of management in terms of sharing those around. Yeah, what's worth noting is that HL7 site is open to the world as well. So it is so we'll have to set up a more private correspondence space, I think, if we want to keep them actually within the zone of the Connectathon. But yeah, so it's also worth noting, please no real patient data. Always say that. It's not these are public systems, so don't put real patient data on there. I don't want people coming after me. Yep.
So I guess in relation to this and talking about the timeline of the activity day 1, so when we get in and it kicks off at 9 a.m, we'll all be in one large room. There'll be an initial session and walking through welcome and introduction to the various tracks. And then it'll be after morning tea that we'll go off and split into the different rooms. Each of the tracks will have a different room. So when we get into the AU core room, yes, excellent. Thanks, Brett. We'll do those introductions in the track. So we'll look who's here. We'll look to why are you here, to introduce yourself, what the goals are. And a lot of that is to make sure that we're able to, as track leads, connect you with the right people. And also to look at whether or not we can enhance the synthetic data that we have on the server so that it's meeting some of what you need. So we would then go away and try to build some of that out. And we can take that opportunity there to confirm the connection details, provide people with the in-room links off to the readmes and start working through that. So that's what will be happening after morning tea, is that internal track kickoff to make sure we've got all of that sorted.
Yeah. And I think breakouts, we've got breakouts as well planned. Andrew, you had a query?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to put my video on. Thanks for explaining that, Danielle. I've got the feeling I'm a complete newbie to all of this, and I think I'm going to be totally over my head. I'm a practicing clinician. I'm a doctor, but really wants to learn more about this and get in the weeds of it. So it's very helpful that last few minutes you just explained that. What happens if you realise that you want to explore other tracks? Is it sort of quite acceptable to sort of move around and so forth, or?
It is. Yeah, we're not locking you in.
It's very
so,
it's quite informal, really, and it's mainly to get people together and get discussions happening between them. So, and feel free to wander around the whole event. I plan to, even though I'm the track lead. I want to see what the other groups are doing. But there's no kind of formal participation in any track. So if you find you can move on to other things if you think that's better.
I will recommend. Sorry. There's some track 1 kickoff slides which have some links to things to like create accounts, because one of the things that we'll do on the day as we get into communities and we're looking at data and we're looking at different kinds of conformance rules and we're looking at systems, is we may decide to actually focus on a new problem, a really specific problem, because the people in the room, it turns out, are really interested in, and we'll want to keep up to date with that. And we use a tool called tap.fire.org, as well as announcing it in the room, but it's just a way to keep abreast from all the tracks of, yes, thanks, Andy.
It's just sharing it. Yeah, great.
Yeah, sorry. Usually the track leads compete for who's got the most interesting track, and please come along. And we've got a different track lead in this particular session who's just starting an early sort of screw it. But do stay with AU4. And so we've got, this is chat.fire.org, and if you sign up to that and have a look, we've got a little track there, and the other ones do as well, that can like announce some things as we go through the day, and talk about where we're at. And then we all come back at the end of that first day together and wrap up And then we go, and that will also probably include updates on any administration or any exciting things we've decided we're going to work on.
Yeah.
And then the next day is another day of meeting together and continuing to work on and try to go through the problems, try to get some progress really on whether it's data, whether it's particular systems or those kinds of things. That's what we'll be focusing on.
Great. Excellent. Because I have a number of specific sort of questions and things that I'd really like to see if I can get some answers for, but I'm also very mindful that I could provide some clinical insights and so forth that might be helpful for other people.
Yeah, so, whilst there's a bit of structure, I think it is a very free-form event, and often we will also find that there's interest on a particular topic, and we'll sort of create a breakout session maybe to discuss that topic, during the day as well. So it's pretty flexible in nature. So and obviously you can go around and find your people in terms of the things that are interested
great.
And that's part of it too, is to try and connect people together that kind of want to follow through on different things.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to meeting you all. Thank you. Well, they have to be very soft with me.
We're expecting people to be all different, coming from different backgrounds with different inputs as well. So, and that's kind of we're actually kind of encouraging. That's very encouraging actually, because it helps get a bigger and better picture of everything as well. I was just noting there are a couple of breakout sessions already planned, so I think that's an intro one. Yeah, Danielle, the introduction to AU Core.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to run that for the first time here, and then I'll organise some information sessions and actually record it later. I get to refine that, I think, in that session.
You got to do it.
To do a bit of an introduction to AU Core. When we were first setting up the Sparked program, we did do a lot of those very early kind of discussions on what is an Australian core, why would we even have one, what's the end outcome and goals. But we've not done that really since we kicked off. And I think it's appropriate now to have one in this Connectathon, and then probably take that through in a information session. And I'm also thinking of having some drop-in kind of Q&As really about AU Base, about AU Core, so we can just come along and talk through that, about what questions people have, and walk through any topics of interest. So if you're new, that's great. That's not a problem at all. Bring your questions. We'll absolutely talk through them. I know you won't be alone. And we've got all sorts of people coming along, different things that we're trying to get the outcomes for, but we're all building towards a common goal at the end. So, that's awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
And that chat.fire.org is the main sort of social platform to join and so forth.
That's right.
That's a good place to, like, you once you're on there, you'll realize there's a lot of that's like the chat for the whole of HL7 International basically as well. So there's but we do have like Australian channels for Australian business, and a particularly one for AU Core and one for this event. So it's but it's definitely a good place if you have general questions too. It's a really good place to get answers as well, because there's a lot of interactions with people just starting out, and also it's basically got all of the people that write the standards internationally as well on there. So it's actually, I'm on there constantly trying to find answers. So it's also worth, we've got another breakout planned on a particular subject. So this is like one of the examples of a particular sort of thing that came up as part of discussions around body site and laterality. So just how systems could sort of implement that, and some of the considerations on that. So I'll plug that one for the first day as well. But we'll also, I imagine we may come up with other topics as well that people want to maybe go and have a discussion about. I know there's a lot of people interested in things adjacent to AU Core, like the International Patient Summary IPS spec and things like that as well. So depending on how things go, people might want to have a specific chat on those things as well. So I think day 2 it just says we're going to be doing work, but I imagine that will develop too as we have breakouts and things like that. And there's a report back at the end in terms of finishing up the event. Yeah, that's good. So was there anyone else that had any queries or comments? Nothing in particular.
I think it's a question related to IBS stuff that you and I, Brett, will need to get back to more around the fire work group, about in referencing there was a meeting in October and we've not planned yet for the next sessions. So we should reply to Sanjeet about that, but not about the AU core track necessarily.
Yeah. I think it's that's a good point. I think a lot of what we're doing is very much related to IPS and what IPS will be in Australia. I think as we go further on, it will become very apparent that IPS is one of those destinations that AU Core can support really well. So I think I think there's a few people looking at that. I know Graham Greaves looking at it. Graham's here, but in terms of a general purpose kind of usage of AU Core, because as we sort of have this common capability coming available, doing things like constructing an IPS document is looking like much more of a group project than an individual vendor project. So it starts to make a lot more sense. Was there anything else to add on this? Yeah, all I can say is feel free to ping either on the chat.fire.org or add comments to the page, and we'll try and get everything sort of sorted out before you turn up, if possible. But otherwise we'll deal with it as we go on the day.
And also our emails are on the track slides from the track kickoff if you want to email any of us. So on the track page for this, and I don't know if it's on the front chat, we should put that in there. Now, are you doing that, Brett?
So the front page.
I beat you to it.
Oh, you did.
That's good. So that is the main page there. Yep. That will also have this recording. It also has the track kickoff slides. It has the track lead emails of myself, Brett, and Malcolm. So if you have any questions, please email us. I think that's it.
Yeah, that's good. And hopefully, it'd be great to meet you all. And I think I always think of these events as a really great opportunity to, get in contact with a whole bunch of people that are in one place all at once that that know a lot of stuff. So it's I always look forward to these events myself to try to catch up with everyone in person and being able to put together a few heads that aren't together all the time. So it's really looking forward to everyone being able to have a little chat together and hopefully get some things to show off at the end of the event. I know Andy's here, but we want to make sure the AU Core track looks really good in terms of achieving things.
Andy is, for the plug, the diagnostic requesting track. It's also quite exciting. Maybe not as exciting as AU Core, but I understand if you feel you need to spend some time there.
His name's not AU request TDG by birth.
I'm going to drop off shortly, but I just want to say great to see you all coming. For people I've not met, I look forward to seeing you there. Bring your questions, bring your data, bring everything. We'll work through it. Feedback is amazing, and I want as much of it as possible.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think
everyone.
too. Thanks, Daniel. Yeah, I think it's good to. It's good to remember, there are people. This is not really about one-upping everyone in terms of what you can and can't do. So really, it's about getting people, moving forward. people are at different stages of their development and knowledge, so it's really trying to just make sure everyone's moving in the right direction, and hopefully encourage people to get more involved if they're not as involved now. I know, just from past things. I mean, I know Brian and I were on Connectathons way back, connecting before we had commercial things happening. So it was actually a really good opportunity to sort of connect systems together and to really understand that we can connect, pretty readily with each other once we have some standards in place. And it kind of encourages you then to go, well, I now know a whole bunch of people that can sort of achieve these things. It's when those tenders come up with interesting fire related activities around AU Core, which they will, you'll be able to say, I know, companies and people that can sort of do this work and have a lot of confidence that your systems are going to work because you're already connected before. So it's not so much you have to try and craft a solution. You kind of have ready-made understanding of what's in the market, who people do different aspects, have different kinds of backgrounds in terms of delivering different systems into different spaces. So I really think it's a massive opportunity as well in terms of being able to connect with vendors, but also people that have sort of consultants and knowledge base sort of people as well, in terms of being able to readily be able to ask a question of the right people that know the answers. So it's a great way to get to know people. Anyhow,
cool. I don't see any other questions.
No, that's good. You're very lucky to get a ticket. It's a hot ticket. Yep. Just ask Uday.
Yeah, I got around it.
Yeah, no, we were sold out some weeks before the event finished. So yeah, I think we might be looking to upscale the size of the venue. It's getting very difficult now. So I'll put a plug out for that as well. That the next Connectathon in March is in Sydney, and if you have a big venue going begging, we're always looking for support in that of that nature. Yeah, as well. Yeah, if you are a keen attendee, make sure you get your ticket early. It appears to be the answer. So well done.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Excellent.
All right.
Well, thanks very much
all.
for your time. And yeah, feel free to ping me if you need anything further.
Okay. All right. See you on Monday.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.